Good morning, students. Today we will be having a discussion about the topic research guidelines for evaluation of safety and efficacy of herbal drugs. The topic which we are describing, I will just show here the guidelines for evaluation or evaluating the safety and efficacy of herbal drugs. It plays a major role nowadays, very important regarding, because the usage of herbal drugs and herbal medicine is more widely spread in the world, and we are depending on the nature now. Going back to the 3000, 4000 years back, and how we are read about various adverse reactions about the synthetic drugs. But we are just lagging with the safety and efficacy of usage of herbal drugs, as it's having a rational use of them. So here, today we are not going to see the whole topic completely. We'll see a part, and part by part we'll go for the lecture. And herbal medicines as a major remedy in traditional medicine system have been used in medical practice for thousands of years and made a great contribution maintaining human health. So the use of medicine has a particular rich tradition among the people of West Pacific region. Not only now European, and most of 80% of the world we are depending on herbal medicine now, and isolated compounds and herbal drugs we are using in various formulations. So you can see the region. This is for 1000 years. There is a lot of traditional practice in China, Japan, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and this West Pacific region. We are known for this practice for long back, and now it's spread to the whole world. And WHO is fully aware of the importance of herbal medicine for the health of many people throughout the world, as stated in a number of resolutions adopted by the World Health Assembly, the regional, you can see the regional committee of Western Pacific region of WHO. They made the importance and what is the need of this. The safety and efficacy research is needed for every herbal products and also the herbal medicines which is available, and the research is must to be done according to the guidelines. Thus, the herbal medicine have been recognized as a valuable and reliable available resource for primary health care, and who has endorsed their safety and efficacy use. By means of this assembly, they have discussed, and they have main guidelines they have given for various research guidelines for the safety and efficacy of herbal drugs. So why this needed means due to not having enough evidence for most of the herbal combination drugs and individual drugs which is available produced by commons. That is, for example, there is no scientific approach to answer the question of safety and efficacy of herbal drugs, herbal medicines now in use. That's why this development of the criteria for the guidelines for the research, safety and efficacy of herbal medicine research study is very important in present situation. So the goals, when we talk about the goals, it's to strengthen the research in evaluation of the safety and efficacy of herbal drugs, and to strengthen and promote the rational use of the herbal medicine. And what is the objectives of this? When you talk about the objectives, to ensure the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine used in healthcare system or the countries within the region and elsewhere in the world, and to provide research criteria for evaluating the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine, and to purpose a basis for the member states, that means about the country states or different places, different countries, to develop their own research guidelines for the study of herbal medicine. And the third objective is to facilitate the exchange of research experience between the countries, between the states, between areas, between institutions and formation, so that a body of reliable data for the validation of herbal medicine can be accumulated. So you see these goals and objectives in my slides. It was just hidden little, but I made another slide also to make it short and to remember what is the difference between when you write a research work or when you want to start a research work. It is must for the researcher or the scholar how to write about the aim or the goal and to the objectives what he is going to do. So that's why I want to make the difference between them by means of making it into just a picture wise and to note it down. You see, I have made a scope here, which is just little hidden in the slide, and you can see the scope. When you talk about the scope, the evaluation of the safety and efficacy and to promote the rational use of herbal medicine. This is the two scope. And when we talk about the objectives, you can see talk about the objectives. It states that to ensure the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine used in healthcare system and to facilitate the exchange of research experience between the institution, between the countries, between the states, and to promote the research criteria for evaluating the safety and efficacy of herbal drugs. So you see, what's the difference between the scope and the objectives of a research criteria? So that it's possible for the students to write in the exam when you know point by point instead of reading the book or instead of reading the notes continuously. If you listen and if you see something which is made into a hints, a point by point, it will be easy for you to write in the exam. That's why I made it like this, the slide which we have discussed in the before, about what is the difference between the scope and the objectives which want to make research guidelines for a safety and efficacy for the herbal medicines and herbal preparations. And coming to the legal consideration procedures for the registration of herbal medicine play a very important role in ensuring the medicinal plant preparation are of acceptable quality, safety and efficacy. So legal procedures usually it depends upon each countries, and so that's why we made a point. It's also an important procedure whenever you are going to commence and research work in an herbal drugs or herbal medicines. Ethical consideration. So it plays a major role, ethical consideration. When we talk about ethical consideration, one, research for human subject. When human subjects are involved, that's we have given 3 points. First one is research for human subjects. So when human subjects are involved, research must be conducted in accordance to the 4 basic points. One is justice. Number 2, respect for the person. respect for humans, respect for the persons, respect for the humans, beneficence of your research to the human or to the mankind or to the society. Non-malfeasance is a symbol which we can say first, do not harm anyone. That is non-malfeasance. So these four basic principles which can be denoted in this manner also. Principle of ethics by autonomy. What do you mean by autonomy? Autonomy means respect, giving the respect to the human, giving the respect to the individual. That's what autonomy, which is shown in this manner. Beneficence, which that is first, no do harm, the symbol which is a beneficence, which we are shown, beneficence. And the second one is non-malfeasance. For example, beneficence, I told do not harm, it's beneficence to the mankind, beneficence to the society. Non-malfeasance was do not harm. Do not harm. See about the negative signs. Do not harm. Do not make any disturbance to the environment. Do not make to the other persons, other living organisms, other husbandries or other animals or other things which is living together when you in your research and also when you are doing with a human. And justice plays a major role. So this is the four basic principles which has to be remembered for a research of human subjects. And research of animals, that we have Blue Cross, we have many organizations which are preventing animals. They are having more responsible for their life cycle and their lives, and they give importance for their life and their sacrifice. So, minimize the sacrifice which we can go for in vitro studies. In vitro studies can be encouraged, and less animals can be utilized for an experimental methods. That's an advice which is given by WHO and all other organizations. So, research on animals must be carried out with respect for their welfare, and consideration must be given by using in vitro laboratory methods instead of going for in vivo. In vitro laboratory methods that may reduce the experimentation on intact animals. So like microbiological tissues culture studies which can be encouraged. So that's the second point which we are the ethical consideration. The third one is respect for the environment. Environmental respect should be given whenever you are performing a research. Regarding herbal medicine and herbal products for the safety and efficacy. I am using this word again and again. Proper consideration must be given to protection of the environment, which supports the natural products that the basis of the herbal medicines and which may yield valuable medicinal products in the future. So, this is the 3 points which we have to remember. Respect to the humans when you are doing a human subject. Respect to the animals when you are doing with an animal experiments. Respect to the environment. Very easy, simple. You can just point out ethical consideration. And traditional knowledge of the herbal medicine is important whenever you are going for a research regarding various systems like Unani, Naturopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, Tibetan, Chinese, African and South African and various chiropractic, various system, Ayurveda. There are various systems which are traditionally practiced, which you should know that is ethnic groups which they are having 3,000, 4,000 years back, which has been started even many traditional medicine practices. So we should respect them. And we should know about their systems. We should know about their ethnic and we should know about their groups, and we should respect them, how they practiced, how they used it. So we should also make that is very important. Knowledge of herbal medicine, traditional herbal medicine is important for a research work when you want to commence them. So you see that traditional use of herbal medicine is usually an integral part of culture which was developed within an ethnic groups. So every country is before the development and spread of modern science or modern medicine or an English medicine. Understand? So respect for the principles of the traditional system of medicine under study must be important. Priority should be given. Now we want to talk about the regulatory requirements. Regulatory requirements may be different from one country. There will be different, the regulatory difference for herbal products and as well as herbal substances, herbal medicines. And so, as a general rule, traditional experience, which means a long-term use as well as the medicinal history of the ethnological history, or the history of that particular medicinal use, or the background as well as should be recorded before in the research, should be taken in account. Always you should give some respect to the person who is used for a long term of the traditional medicine which is used in the particular place. So regulatory requirements also, they have mentioned that it is necessary for you to have record the ethnical background or ethnological background, the historical background of the medicinal use of the particular herbal medicine. WHO guidelines for assessment of the herbal medicine should be consulted for the registration of herbal medicine products, for even research and as well as for the marketing. Registration plays a major role for regulatory requirements. So, in the design and conduct of research of herbal medicine, the country's regulatory requirement must be already considered before commencement of the research, particularly those required for registration of herbal medicinal products. Sometimes we have to evaluate the product in the research and development in an industries. So they have to get the registration from the particular country for regulatory requirements before proving their therapeutic activities and various researches which we are going to perform. And research purpose, when we talk about purpose, I just made into points and made into another slide for you to remember also, to make it a hint, so that what is the purpose of research? So we should mention this. Suppose if you are doing now research, most of them students are in 8th semester which they are doing with a project, they may need to write the dissertation. That time they may need the purpose. So what is the basic purpose of your research? If you know these points and these some of the points which I am just mentioning here, it will make you to make a paper very interestingly by means of referring many other references. This is just an hints which can be given for you. So you see, you can make a point, an evaluation may be carried out to prove the scientific traditional experience on the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine. And it may conduct to validate a new product or the new product or new found, validate a new found plant materials. What? New found plant materials. I am telling product or a plant materials which is hidden like in my slide. A new combination of the herbal medicine, new combination, validation of a new plant material, combination of herbal medicine, suppose new combination of herbal medicine, and there is a purpose, suppose you want research purpose, a new indication, new use. Previously it was used for some other purpose and now it has been identified for various other new uses. So new indication, New indication or new indication maybe for the use, or new indication for the additional precautions can also be added. And a new dosage form. A new dosage form also research can be taken as a consideration. For example, you can go for a new dosage form like that. For example, when suppose if it is in a tablet form or in a capsule form, or if it is sometimes you want to go for novel drug delivery systems, so you want to change it, some formulations also, dosage forms. How the efficacy of the therapeutic effect of the drug can also be added in this form. And the new administration route of administration, parenteral route or dermal route, external, that means that is, for example, like a semi-solid preparations, oral route. So different types of route of administration studies also can be changed, and you can do in the research. So this is purpose when you come. Then purification, semi-purification, already existing drugs, which purification, that study also can be done, purified. Adulterations which can be removed, and purification can be done for herbal medicines for the study, for research. And requirements, evidence of the safety and efficacy of the herbal medicine is the main concept behind the research purpose. So the method of research chosen should be adjusted to the original purpose of the research. So you see, there are many points which I have seen in this slide. But how to remember? How to write in the paper? That's why I made another slide which can make you to remember now. See here, purpose. What is the purpose of research? Remember, efficacy of a herbal medicine is the purpose for the research. To evaluate the herbal plants, herbal products, herbal materials, to validate. Then you can write to validate. And for a new dosage form, a new combination of herbal medicine, for a new indication, new use or new indication, new precautions, new indication, research can be done. And for a new administrative route, route of administration. And for purification or semi-purification of the drugs. And safety and efficacy of the herbal medicine. So, these points can be easily remembered by the students, and you can mention a very good paper can be written for purpose of your research. And selection of the research projects. Selection. So selection. Now the next one heading is selection of the research projects. How to select? The project should be selected with due consideration for several factors in research, addition to the scientific interest. There are three of this. One is potential value of research results for improving the health of the community with a due regard of the prevalence of disease and feasibility of using an alternative treatment. So, we are doing selection of the project is for an alternative treatment which is already existing, can be done. That's why we say alternative medicine. We say that is alternative traditional and alternative medicine, because we have a mainstream line of English medicine, mainstream line of modern medicine, where we are having an alternative treatment. And it should be given a potential value. The research have to give a potential value. So you have to do the main 3 point. First point is potential value for the research of result, which can improve the health of the community for the due regard of the prevalence of the disease and the feasibility of using alternative treatment. So the number 2, medicinal value of indigenous plants. By means of selection of a product, you should have the point, addition to the scientific interest, You should have given the value, that is medicinal value of indigenous plant. Indigenous plant, medicinal value of the indigenous plant. And technical and financial consideration also should be considered. So selection of the project, what are the things should be considered? Potential value of the research results should be given improvement for the health and the community. And also you should give value to the indigenous plants of the country, of the state, of the place, of any traditional value of the traditional medical practice. And technical and financial consideration should also be made before selecting a research project. So this is what all the points should be considered before selecting one research project. That's what we have made in this slide. And research approaches. Now we are coming to the research approaches. Research approaches collect information on folkloric experiences whose scientific validity is then investigated. The traditional use of folkloric experiences, use of the herbal medicines, use of the traditional practice, being to be conducted more generally pharmacological and toxicological test. Pharmacological and toxicological test. You might have studied this pharmacological and toxicology. Toxicology, one chapter itself you might have studied very clearly. Acute, chronic, subchronic, toxicity, study how the toxicity test and all. This we are going to discuss about some extent. But you have to use your background knowledge of the pharmacology and toxicology, and you can write more in your exams. I will give you only a few names of the test and procedure of the animals, how to do, not procedure, just selection only I can be. Your procedures and results and discussions, all these things you have to use your knowledge which you have in previous subjects. To assure the safety of the medicinal products, you have to perform the pharmacological and toxicological test, which can then be tested in an initial clinical trials. Then we can go for clinical trials. In certain instant, the isolation of an active substance may be useful in order to provide an exact dosage. Okay? And approaches, next one. In many cases, however, the plant preparation as a whole, therapeutic value or therapeutically effective, even though the active principle is not known. They used to say this whole plant is used for particular disease. So that research approaches which will give you to find out which is the active principle, which is the constituents, we can isolate and we can find out the pharmacological and therapeutical value of the particular constituents, and we can go for various development of the herbal medicine. And the clinical investigation of therapeutic activity of such crude preparation is necessary for research approaches. What do you mean? That means the crude approaches. The whole plant is used for certain treatments. But which part is used? At which secondary metabolite or which metabolite, which is the constituent is responsible for the use of that particular indication which is given for the particular treatment? What is the therapeutic activity of the particular isolated compound can be identified. That is the research approaches. Assuring access to relevant database. Now database plays a major role and it is very expensive. So we expect this database are more used in China, Japan, Hong Kong and United States. The database, there are many databases are there which we can take, but they are expensive and they are having some payments. So we are interested to have this database usage by the researcher by means of getting some subsidy from the government. Database denotes to herbal medicine and natural products have been established in several countries like China, Hong Kong, Japan and United States. Easy access to such database greatly facilitates the effort and those interest of herbal medicine. So since the maintenance of such database, access to them researchers are costly, the government financial subsidy may be necessary in order to ensure the access of researchers and health planners to information needed to hasten or the rational use of herbal medicine in their countries. So we can just make a control over an international database system which can be sponsored by the particular country, will be helpful for assuring access to the relevant database of any plants or any herbal materials which we are taken for research and which have been used for any type of therapeutical research work. Now education, it is necessary to education to promote the rational use of herbal medicine. Dissemination of knowledge about herbal medicine in the form of courses can be conducted, professional health workers can be used for this research purpose, and formation of public can be greatly aided. Overall effort to promote the rational use of herbal medicine by means of conducting various research. This can educate the people what is the use of this herbal medicine, and we can use certain courses can be produced for research conducting this herbal medicine, specific course, what is necessary for the guidelines to be followed. So educating the public as well as the health workers, and also courses, special courses can be conducted in each and every country for this purpose of research conducting. And the research studies, when we talk about research studies, now we are coming to the regulatory safety and efficacy of the herbal medicine guidelines, and we want to know about what all the things research studies details, and about the things about starting from literature background. We have to start from literature background actually, research studies. When we want to go for any research study, first needed is literature background. So when you are even writing a dissertation, when you are finishing your project work, when you want to submit the dissertation that time it is necessary for you to have the research background and literature backgrounds, and you will be having the bibliography or the research, what all the references which you made. But literature background for your study is very, very important for you, and also it should be specified in a chapter for in your dissertation, very important. So research background, the literature background plays a major role. So literature survey should be starting point for every serious effort of herbal medicine research. They are the very important factor. So you have to go for journal research, various published papers, and you have to know about the IS, that is international journals, and also you have to have the hard copy as well as you have to read and thorough, and then you have to go for a methodology and usage of your research work. It must be recognized that knowledge about herbal remedies which is practiced in traditional methods and which is published, and it must also recognize that while some publications on herbal medicine may not meet the stringent requirement of international peer review journals, so it is necessary for you to select the journals which have peer reviews and the standard journals which has been published, because you know now in internet we will get many papers which is not at all having the proper reviewed journals. So it is necessary for you to have this journals, specified journals which you are referring, which you are having the hard copies, which you are having as a literature survey for your work. It is necessary for you to requirements of international peer review journals still provide a useful observation and idea for your further study. So you should know about the which journal, which is the specific journals which you are finding out should be mentioned clearly. So that's about research, and also you can see the protocol preparation for the research. Protocol preparation. So what is this protocol preparation? A careful planned protocol is a prerequisite for the preparation of a successful research project. For any work, for any budget or any type of work, if you want to perform, it is needed. Even so, research also needs a protocol preparation. So a survey of the literature survey which you made should help you to put in an objective of the project in a sharp focus and to make it an work hypothesis. So usually when you want to go for a research study, you need a work hypothesis. A methodology, a work hypothesis is formulated by means of your literature survey. An experimental approach to test the hypothesis is designed, and you can prepare a protocol for your research. So the method necessary to gather the relevant data must be, however, be executed with due consideration for ethical aspects and a government experiment for both animals and human subjects. If you are doing, it is needed for you to prepare a protocol preparation with an all ethical considerations, and even legislative requirements and registration is needed, approval is needed. All these things have to be taken properly. Authentication, all these details which we have studied will come to the protocol preparation. So once you have to prepare the data and prepare the protocol, for the time schedule even can be given. What is the work plan? This all comes in protocol preparation. And when we come to the research guidelines, there we are going to discuss about these 3 points. Not even we cannot go for within a lecture, but we will continue this lecture with these 3 guidelines specifically, which is the main part of this topic. This is the main part of the topic. Up to now we have given a small introduction about the topic, small introduction about the research activities, small introduction about what is the herbal preparations and the research what is. So here these 3 points will be discussed in the next class or the next lecture, like guidelines for quality specification or plan, material separate and preparation separate, and guidelines for pharmacodynamics and pharmacological studies, how to perform for the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine, and guidelines of toxicology investigation of herbal medicine. So these 3 are the major topics how to perform, which is not given in the handout or which is not given in the materials which you have in your you have with you, my students who are following my lecture. So better to have lecture. Next lecture we will continue with these 3, and today's lecture you just remember all the points which I have mentioned and just go through it and have a great day.